Achieving net zero by 2050 may well prove to be the largest reallocation of capital in history. It means an estimated green capital investment of $6.5 trillion US dollars per year. I'm here with McKinsey leaders Joseba Eceiza and Simona Viscardi to talk about closing that net zero financing gap, what it could take, how to get there, and what's on the agenda for this topic during COP28. Joseba, why focus on financing? Why is financing the net zero transition so important?
Well, finance is the key unlock to facilitate the net zero transition in order to avoid the worst physical impacts of climate change. But, and this is very important, the reallocation of capital towards low carbon investments is not happening at the speed and scale we need. One of the key reasons for that is that about 40% of the capital investments face major bankability issues. And of course, it is a challenge, but we also see it as a major opportunity for the globe.
Simona, tell me more about this challenge. What are we facing here?
Look, if we take it top down, we see three main challenges. First and foremost, the targets of which have been committed through the Net Zero Banking Alliance and G funds, corresponding to $10 trillion in pledges, have only resulted in 1/4 of the finance growth rate required to reach the 1.5 net zero degrees. Second, it's around the role of public to private partnership, which is not working yet at the level it should be. Multilateral development banks have set their targets, have reached their targets on flows, but this has not resulted into corresponding commitment from the private sectors, meaning that out of $1 spent by a multilateral development bank, it's only 30 cents of private sector commitments. And finally, the topic of bankability, commercial banks are facing major bankability challenges. First of all, the current macroeconomic environment is putting significant pressure on margins. Second, some of these technologies are still not viable from a commercial perspective and are not mature yet. And even if they are, there are quite some gaps in terms of maturity mismatch between the long tail these technologies are requiring and the classical tenors that commercial banks are finding.
Oh, Seba, what are the geographic factors at play here? And how does the challenge differ between regions, developed versus developing economies, etc.?
So there are broad-based challenges shared across the globe. However, we see three main issues that are particularly acute when it comes to emerging and developing economies. The first one is that in some cases, underdeveloped policy environment or political or regulatory instability, unfortunately. The second one is lack of data availability. This is also true in Europe, for instance, but is even more complex in other regions. And the third one and final one is just transition considerations. So ensuring that the transition happens simultaneously with economic prosperity and fair and equitable way.
Okay, so we've spoken a bit about the challenges. Now let's take it from the opposite tack. What's actually working when it comes to net zero financing?
So there are three examples which are coming to my mind. First is the Asian Development Bank Energy Transition Mechanism, which is the exploration of the use of concessional and commercial capital to accelerate the retirement of fossil fuel plants while repurposing it with clean energy. Second is the Just Energy Transition Package, which is a long-term financing package which G funds has supported to promote the disposal of coal in development countries. And last is MAS, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, which has recently co-published with McKinsey a working paper on the possibilities of using high-integrity carbon credits to accelerate the phase-out of coal-fired power plants. These are, for sure, some significant examples. However, it will take quite a while for these examples and others to scale to the right level we need. And that's mostly because of supply chain issues, protectionism, and other structural challenges that these technologies are facing.
I'd love to hear a little bit more about your sense of personal connection to this net zero financing challenge. Joseba, let's start with you.
It's a great source of energy to me. It keeps me motivated to build our societal impact as a firm. Being a balance sheet person, I'm thrilled to play a part in the largest capital reallocation in history since World War II. And of course, it is also about the legacy that we leave for the coming generations.
Look, I'm particularly passionate of the idea that here we have an ecosystem which needs to come together. And it comes with the governments, with the private sectors, on the corporate side, on the banking side, multilateral development banks, equity investors. I like the idea that all these driving forces need to come together and to create a consolidated ecosystem to face this big challenge. And the idea that we can be of support of pushing this ecosystem further.
Joseba, what do you see as the big step that the coming COP might achieve in closing this transition financing gap?
I'm very excited about COP28. It could help deliver innovations in mobilizations of finance. This is key to fighting climate change and delivering a just transition. As we all know, finance is at the heart of the diverse range of stakeholders involved in this challenge. It would be great to see COP28 craft a tangible blended finance platform that unlocks the full potential of public and private finance. Most importantly, COP28 also presents a great opportunity to move from ideation and commitments to accelerating execution. That is the key word for me, execution. And that's what we will focus on during our event on financing the transition.
Joseba and Simona, thanks so much for talking with me today. And to learn more about financing the net zero transition and what's on the agenda at COP28, register for McKinsey's series of live virtual events at mckinsey.com/COP28.